Hey dorks, just a quick message reminding you to head over to twitch.tv/mindgappodcast and give us a follow. We live stream when we record our new podcast episodes, and we're live streaming video game sessions on Saturday nights at 8 o'clock p.m. Central Time. We're playing super rad stuff like Among Us, Keep Talking and Nobody Explodes, Jackbox games, and Tabletop Simulator. Come hang out and play along with us. That's twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. Mind Gap Podcast. Hey everybody, welcome to Mind Gap Podcast. I'm Doug.
I'm Justin.
And with us this week is a very special guest who's going to talk to us all about the stonks. Don't know what stonks are? Well, shut the fuck up and listen, because we have the one, the only, Daniel Pawlishyn here to talk to us.
Thanks for having me, guys. Glad to be here.
Oh, this is so exciting.
Get the last name right.
You did get the last name right. So
Did you see me freak out right there? I had to freeze. I'm like, I got to look at the pronunciation again because I didn't trust myself, because that's how I work.
Yeah,
I did get 3 for 3. That's all that matters.
That is.
It makes me so excited. But we're super excited to have you here. Before we dive right into the stocks and the GameStop and all that good stuff, a little bit of housekeeping we're going to take care of first. So number one, if you all don't already know, follow us on Spotify and elsewhere, but specifically on Spotify. Check us out, like, subscribe, all that good stuff. Also, don't forget to join our Discord server. Come hang out with us. We're a bunch of nerds. We like to talk, about memes, share memes, be silly, and play games together. So come join our Discord server. You can find that at twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. Also, check out our merch on redbubble.com. Head on over there. Search for Mind Gap Podcast. We got all sorts of cool stuff like t-shirts, sweatshirts, hoodies, pillows, backpacks, coffee mugs, travel mugs. We got it all. Go over there, get what you'd like, support the podcast. We'll love you forever. And last but not least, if you don't know, we host a video game stream every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Central Time at twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. Last Saturday, we continued the epic Dungeons and Dragons the Fantasy board game adventure. And Justin, I gotta say, we had to do a last minute sub because Eric couldn't make it. Seth came in, and I was concerned. I didn't know how it was gonna go, but I was very impressed with you and the gang.
I have to say I was impressed with us, if I can be so bold. I feel like what happened is that after the X number of weeks we've been playing with Eric, through internet osmosis, he's gifted us his strategic abilities, and we were able to hold our own. Usually Eric leads us the full 2 hours, and this time I have to say we were making calls and slaying some gobbies with the best of them.
Yeah, it was very good, and I can't wait for you guys to continue on with that adventure. So excellent work. This Saturday, in honor of everyone's favorite holiday, in quotes, Valentine's Day, I'm going to be playing the I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator on Twitch, baby.
Oh,
we got that sweet KFC dating simulator, the game that everyone wants to play, and I'm going to be doing it. I'm going to be hopping in. I already downloaded it. I'm afraid to start it up because I don't want to log any more additional time in it than I don't need to. So we're firing up. We're going to see what this dating sim's all about. Apparently, Colonel Sanders looks really hot, so this should be fun. So come join me.
Doug's got his secret herbs and spices.
We'll see how finger-licking he is, We'll see how finger-looking good he is. So come check that out, 8 p.m. Central Time, twitch.tv/mindgappodcast. I'm, if anything, a man of my word. I said this months ago, for Valentine's Day I would play it. I'm sticking with that plan. So,
and guys, I don't know if you know this, but Doug will also be playing it with his shirt off and just suspenders on.
I mean, if you want, we could do that. Cash in some points, and I will do that. So
that's true. You know what? This one might cost bits. This one might be a bit thing.
Or Bitcoins. Daniel, welcome to the show.
Oh, boy. Look at that transition.
Thank you. Thank
That
you.
was smooth.
This is what I do sometimes. Well, but we're excited to have Daniel on because Daniel is a professional day trader. I mean, let's say it. Let's say what it is, right? You do this for a living, and you kind of watched this thing unfold. You have a knowledge that Justin and I definitely don't, and our curiosity has just been piqued this whole time as this has unfolded. For folks who don't know what's happened, essentially, Daniel, I'm actually just gonna let you probably describe it. You'll do a better job than me, and I don't want to be inaccurate. So tell everyone what is this GameStop shenanigans? What happened, and what's going on with it?
Yeah, so I guess go back to the summer of 2020. There was a YouTube channel by the name of Roaring Kitty. Not where I would get my financial advice, but seems to be dishing out quite a bit of it. He is a financial advisor for a company called Mass Mutual. So he's not just some guy throwing up a chart and saying it's gonna go to the moon. He actually had some rationale behind his belief that GameStop was undervalued, right? So at the time in the summer, it was maybe trading at $4 or $5 a share. And he hops on YouTube, basically breaks it down and says, hey, listen, GameStop's undervalued. There's a huge potential for, increased market share with esports. They wanted to take advantage of all the increased spending on video games during COVID. And he's going through all these hypothetical situations where GameStop could actually be a legit, profitable company again. You think of retail stores, with Amazon, with most people. I mean, personally, the last 10 games I bought, probably 9 of them were downloaded. I only have 1 out of 10 of the actual physical disc where I went to the store to get it. So, you're just thinking like this doesn't make any sense, but okay, maybe. Anyway, he hops on Reddit to a place called Wall Street Bets, where Wall Street Bets, you don't have to have you don't really have to have any market knowledge prior to this. Just hop on there, have some fun. People are just throwing around ideas. Anyway, the people on Reddit, Wall Street Bets, get a hold of this, that GameStop could potentially be very valuable. Think about the people on Reddit, on Wall Street Bets. They're mostly younger, people that probably play video games. So they're saying, I identify with this company, so why not get behind it? So then they started buying. Like I said, it was at $4 or $5 a share in the summer. Took it up to like 20, took it up to 40, took it up to 80, and then before you know it, it's at like $483, which is wild. You don't normally see that with any stock for that matter, no matter how good of a company is. It just didn't add up, really.
Yeah, that was wild. I remember actually Seth talking about this, and like I just saw some stuff spiking about GameStop stock, and I'm like, oh, because I had the same thing. I'm like, who's investing in GameStop? Like, it's like the Blockbuster of the gaming world. It's just like there's no.
Right.
I can't tell you the last physical game that I purchased. Like, I buy all my stuff digitally. It seems absurd to me to go to a place to physically pick up a game to then install. I'm like, those are a lot of steps. I could just download it off of Steam. Just like I did with, I Love You, Colonel Sanders, a finger-licking good dating simulator. Downloaded it. Didn't have to buy it anywhere. Didn't have to walk in and shamefully be like, I'm doing it for a stream. Can I buy this? And they're like, sure thing, buddy. But the idea that someone would be like, yeah, I want to invest money. I mean, I've since read some stuff where, like, I know, what was it, the CEO was, or was it a guy that was added to the board? I can't remember. Someone who was basically took Chewy, the pet food, organization, just essentially brought that to success, and people were excited with his leadership, what was possible. I know they had actually some decent cash. Their balance sheets were looking good as far as like, I think they were net positive. So there was, financially it made sense. I think long term, unless there's some drastic changes, I don't know, all about that, like how great of an investment it is. But it was rooted, I think, because I think some of the misconception about this is people were just fucking around. But I think this was generally rooted in legitimate, like, hey, there is some value here. It's grossly undervalued, and these hedge funds are really trying hard to bet against this. And I think there was also a bit of resentment along with that as well. But that I'm sure is speculative.
Yeah, I mean, the guy Roaring Kitty, his price target I think was like $50 from 5. So, 10 times is still like that's a lot, especially in any amount of time. But yeah, you mentioned the hedge funds. So a lot of these funds make a lot of money by shorting these companies that generally don't do well. They don't have the best fundamentals. They might not have the best outlook. So for them, it's essentially free money. And for those that don't know what shorting is, essentially, let's just, for an example, say the stock is $100, right? So you think the stock's going to go down, right? Maybe to $50 for whatever reason. The company's just hired a new CEO you don't like, maybe industry regulations, something. Anything can be really anything. So you borrow 100 shares. You sell 100 shares that are borrowed essentially, right? So you want the price of the stock to go down. So let's just say 100 shares at $100, $10,000, right? So you're selling those shares, 100 of them at $100. So your ideal situation would be for that thing to go as low as possible. For easy math, let's just say it drops to 50, right? So the broker is going to need those shares back that were borrowed. So you're going to buy those shares at $50 for $5,000. Boom, the trade's over. You just made $5,000. Pretty good investment, pretty good return. However, if it goes the other way on you, let's say it went to 150, right? You have to still buy those shares back. So your $10,000 position, you have to pay a lot more. So that'd be what, $15,000. So you're in the hole there. And with GameStop, you can imagine the people that were shorted maybe at like $20, $30, even $50, they were getting crushed because they would have to buy those shares back. And when you're buying shares, you're pushing the price up even higher.
Right.
That combined with the madness of Wall Street bets, I mean, it was, the chart was literally vertical, straight up in the air. Some days it was nuts.
So what's the time frame for when if you're shorting something and you're borrowing, you do have to essentially give those back at some point in time? What's the typical time frame with that?
Yeah, so I don't short stuff, so the exact ins and outs of that, I guess you would hold on to it as long as possible. If it's going down, you're not gonna. Why would you buy the shares back if it's still dropping? But sometimes the brokers can actually buy them back for you if they need those shares. In the case of GameStop, where so many people were buying and buying and buying, and it got to the point where these funds were taking such big losses, they just couldn't take the losses anymore. They had to get out of their position.
So they actually bought, they had to pay for their basically position. They basically just lost billions of dollars. Is that kind of how it unfolded?
Yeah. The big one, there was a few, but the one that's been in the news was Melvin Capital. Mm-hmm. They have a weird connection to RobinHood, which I can definitely get into. But Melvin Capital was a big one. Another one was Citron. I think towards the beginning of this madness, I think they bowed out pretty quick because the guy leading that ship was like, you know what, we can't compete with this. Let's just cut our losses and move on.
Right.
Yeah, he went as far as to say, so these funds, they publish what they call short reports, where they might publish something. They might go on CNBC and say, hey, this stock, it doesn't have a great outlook right now. If I were you, if I had stock, I would sell it, because they want you to get on their side and make, oh, this stock isn't worth it, we need to sell and get out. Then that will help them profit, right? Gotcha, Citron went and said, you know what, we're not doing that anymore, because what basically Wall Street Bets was doing is they were hunting these stocks. They were literally hunting these stocks. And I guess it's smart, why would you tell your opposition what your strategy is?
Right.
So
in a almost unprecedented move, the internet, it only happens once every couple millennia, but the internet united and just went, you know what, we're all going to do this. Fuck these guys. It's not easy to get that many people to unite, but
because some of the ones especially the AMC one also made sense to me, right? Because if you're like, AMC could come back, they're in a dangerous position right now, but
that's a legit that one seems far more legitimate than GME to me.
Because it's
the AMC one is like, that's a distinct possibility.
The theaters could open up again, and honestly, the money that was infused into AMC may have saved them with the stock buys. Like it could have saved the company. I think because I think they were like, we now bankruptcy is no longer on the table, like that infusion, and so the idea that people are like, hey, this could open up again at some point and they could be profitable. That's a long bet, but it seems more reasonable in that regard. So to that extent, it's also pretty shitty to think that these guys could get on TV and be like, I think you guys should sell this stock because it's going to help, because the whole thing is like, it's going to make us better. And then the hypocrisy that is just like enveloped this whole thing where they can do that. But if people all band together and buy something, they're like, all right, we're going to halt trades right now because we don't have the financing. It's like, go fuck yourself.
They can get on, exactly. They have the outlet, whereas guys like me and you, the average investor, doesn't have that outlet. If I'm in a position, let's just say Apple, and it's going down on me, I can't hop on the news and say everyone buy Apple. Come on, it's a great company.
Right. We've got Daniel on the phone from all the way in Pennsylvania. Daniel, tell us what are your thoughts on the stuff? We're like, buy it now, please.
Right.
Well, that's been Daniel's minutes. You all heard it here. He told you to buy.
It's just funny that they seem so, and in the days this was happening, watching it, they seemed so salty. So salty. It was just like, get off my lawn type,
That's a good way of putting it. Like,
absolutely. I mean, they were beat at their own game, and that's, I think, to me, like the anarchist in me loved that. Like there's a fire starter that lives inside of me. Doug will tell you that I was like, I had flames in my eyes. I'm like, watch it burn.
Yeah,
go down in flames, because they got beat at their own game and they were pissy about it, and they wanted to take the ball and go home. And nothing makes me happier. But unfortunately, I think in the middle of it, didn't they? I don't know if you know much about this whole silver spike where where they were trying to grab control of the narrative and like turn everyone away from GME and into silver.
It was weird because I think that was on a Friday, because I remember reading that and I was like, oh man, I wish I kind of got in some silver, before the market closed on Friday. I don't know if that was like a mole that the funds put in and just started making up stuff, because apparently they said it wasn't them.
Well, of course they said that.
And then Wall Street Bets at the same time was like, wait a minute, who's saying this? Like, we're not saying this. So It was like no one was really owning up to it. Silver, there was an ETF, it was basically a fund, a silver fund, SLV, that like jumped for maybe a day, but nothing quite like any of the other Nokia, AMC, or GameStop.
Yeah. Well, I think the people on Wall Street Bets anyone that was following that subreddit was so convinced that they were being duped and that it was a mole that had been implemented. Because even on there, some of the ads that were being bought were ads for silver. Like, as I was scrolling through, I started seeing like buy silver ads, and I'm like, this reeks of not on the up and up.
Well, also, there's the dirty stuff that happens after hours too, right? Like, they would try to drive, I heard about this, like the stuff where they do with it is they would sell to each other to like drive the price down, and they would do shit, like the hedge funds would do that, and they would drive the price down, but then after the market closed, the price would shoot up. It's like you would see all this stuff happening behind the scenes as they were like manipulating the market. I was like, these are two groups of people that are both doing the same thing. And I think long term, this kind of volatility, not a great thing. Probably not good in general. It is kind of nice to see, David versus Goliath in this sort of regard, where some people were like, out of principle, I refuse to sell my position. We want you to burn. It was just like, wow, this is crazy. Like, it's pretty wild because part of me was like, yeah, everyone hold strong. I have no money in this game, but stick it to them. But ultimately, that it eventually kind of went back down to, I don't even know where it ended up so far today.
It's like 50 right now.
Which is still not bad considering what it was, a while ago. But it's hard to, to get a little more deep. There's this lie that you kind of get fed, about this dream of the American dream and how you could be wealthy. You just gotta play your cards right. And you see shit like this happen and you're like, oh, the people that have the money, the influence can just pull this shit. Like, I don't know, like RobinHood, the app that was most notable for this was they got drugged put through the ringer because they had to halt trades because apparently they didn't have the capital. I don't know how true that is. I know they eventually secured like $3 billion in additional capital to allow this, but they didn't let people trade on these specific stocks for like a week. So people didn't have the ability to purchase more or do whatever. It just they stopped it. And eventually I think that caused it to go down because people saw the price dip and they're like, I gotta get out now. And they start selling. And then that it ultimately caused the price to drop as far as it did. But it was really kind of upsetting to see that stuff happening behind the scenes, to being like, oh, right, so these guys will be able to do that and no one's going to really do anything against them because they're the ones that hold all the money and influence. That kind of sucks.
It does. So I watched, I don't know if you guys saw the Clubhouse interview with the RobinHood CEO and Elon Musk. This was like maybe a week ago. It's really good. Only about 20 minutes, but basically Elon was like, listen, man, like what happened? Just here's your chance. Like, no news, no media, just tell your story. So according to Vlad, the CEO of RobinHood,
I already don't trust the name.
He kind of looks like Dracula to me.
He does. He has very vampiric attributes.
Yeah. Anyway, he claimed, so RobinHood doesn't actually, they're just kind of like a middleman. They're not the actual people that execute your trades. So it's kind of like a bank where you might deposit your check into your bank and your money might be in there right away, but the check might take a day or two to clear, right? But they're still giving you the money. You still gave them the check. So it's all good. It just needs to technically clear. So stocks similar in that regard, where today, if you wanted to buy a stock, yes, the money left your account. Yes, the stock went in your account, but it's technically not cleared for another 2 days, right?
Whoa.
So these brokers work with clearing houses to do basically the back end stuff. RobinHood is called National Securities Clearing Corporation. And according to their CEO, Vlad, he claimed the NSCC wanted $3 billion to satisfy the deposit requirements to keep trading these stocks. Well, most companies don't have $3 billion in cash lying around. So his options were to restrict trading altogether, just make it closing only so you could sell what you had, you couldn't buy more. And according to him, he said he was able to negotiate the number down. At one point it was $3 billion. Then it was 1.4 billion if he did this, and then it was 700 million if he didn't really explain the 700 million, but basically it sounded like if they just halted trading altogether on those stocks. They ended up settling for 1.4 billion, and I think you're right, Doug. It was about a week where they restricted the trading on a lot of those names. The end of the week, something that I don't really think anyone saw coming, they had a list of 50 stocks. Not just, GameStop, Nokia, AMC, the big ones. They had Beyond Meats, they had American Airlines, other stocks that you're like, wait a minute, like this has nothing to do with what's going on here. Like, what if you had a tremendous buying opportunity in Beyond Meats and you couldn't buy it? That costs people real money.
Mm-hmm.
So it's just, there's a lot of people behind the scenes, and I think RobinHood was kind of the fall guy. But they're definitely not innocent. They definitely deserve some backlash. But I think the hate and the anger is just a little misguided, I guess.
I like that assessment. I think you're right. I think RobinHood got caught holding the bag. Yeah. And I definitely agree that it's like a situation where you see so many of these organizations that just they didn't know this was going to happen, so they weren't prepared.
Exactly.
I don't know the inner workings of this, but the idea that they would need to secure that money, it probably makes sense, right? It does, like on paper. And so I'm sure to prevent that stuff from happening, who thought that they're like, I'm going to need to have an additional $3 billion on hand in case something like this happens? It's just not going to be the case. But at the same time, again, the irony in it is something called RobinHood, the whole analogy of, stealing from the rich, giving to the poor. And all they did was bolster the rich in this sort of situation. They stopped the average person from being able to do what they wanted. Plus, you get the whole like free market stuff, right? Like people are like, let the market decide. People are like, but put regulations on it now. Like it's just, right. Twitter was just ablaze with all sorts of like, wow, the hypocrisy here is absolutely suffocating me and how all this stuff works. And I think what sucks is, I think the thing I enjoyed about this was something that seems very, I wouldn't say taboo, it seems very mystical. And it's like, you mentioned stocks and people go, I don't know, man. Like, it's like you try to talk to me about medical benefits. I'm like, talk to my wife. She sets all that stuff up. I don't know how insurance works. I don't know what a copay is. I just have my wife slap a note to my chest and says, doctor, read this. Tell me what to do when I go to the doctor. So stocks is pretty similar, right? It's like one of those things where you're like, I don't know what any of this means. And I think it's intentionally built that way. But what's been great about this is you've got to see, and I hate to say the word average Joe, but I mean, everyday people have an opportunity now with technology and everything else to go and actually do this stuff. They don't, they don't have to know a broker necessarily or whatever, and they can actually invest and do these things based on their own research and really kind of just forge their own financial destiny, for better or worse, in the stock market. To see something like Robinhood shut that down for over a week and not allow people to do what they're going to do while stuff is still happening behind the scenes. I don't know. I was empowered by the fact that I'm like, man, there's a lot of people that figured this shit out. I'm proud of those. That's awesome. That's amazing. But on the other side, it's like, let's just keep those people down because this is just, it's messing with me and what I want to do. And that was kind of upsetting to see.
Yeah, I think it is.
I think Robinhood could have, at least in my, dumb assessment of this, is they like, and I don't know what was involved in all the negotiations with, whoever they were trying to secure that $3 billion or $1.4 billion from. But if they had just, and I preach this at my 9 to 5 as well, and it commonly gets just ignored, but communication, just clear communication, visibility, transparency, it cannot be under or overstated how far that goes. And like, if they just talked about it, hey, look, we're shutting it down for this reason, and they got a communication out right away, and you don't have to give away all the details,
yeah,
but just like at least let people give people an idea of what's going on.
No, I agree. I think communication factor. I don't think communication can be understated, like in how the stuff is handled in an organization or in something like this, like the double talk, the just sort of like talking, I guess, I don't know, in half truths. It's only going to hurt, and especially when you're dealing with people's money. If there's one thing that I've learned, it's that you don't fuck with people's money. Like that's the one thing that I've learned with that, and I feel like this is a situation where people are getting their money fucked with. Daniel, are you still with us?
Yeah.
Looks like he fell asleep.
Wait.
I think we're getting him.
Maybe. Possibly.
Hold.
Maybe.
Hold.
It's trying so hard with those two little spinny boxes.
But in the end, it doesn't even matter. Uh-oh. There he is.
He's back.
Sorry, guys.
That's all good.
Yeah, that was weird. So I did hear you. I don't know if you could hear me.
I couldn't hear you, but I'm glad you could hear me because that's all that matters is me and the things that I have to say. So,
So yeah, the thing about messing with people's money, Robinhood and the transparency, Justin, I like how you touched on that. From 2015 to 2018, Robinhood, and this actually leads me into a pretty good story here. From 2015 to 2018, Robinhood stole $35 million from its customers. $35 million.
What do you mean stole?
Okay, so they didn't go into their accounts and just take people's money. But what they did was, how I mentioned earlier, Robinhood doesn't actually execute the trades.
Yeah.
They sell their order data to funds like hedge funds. Citadel is their biggest customer. So Citadel take these orders from Robinhood, and Robinhood's, I guess, profit of this is they're skimming pennies off the top from shares, from options, but they weren't telling people this because they're a free platform. But you're really paying for it by paying more for each stock you're buying. So in his 3-year time, 35 million, probably not that much money for the amount of people on that platform, but still, that's not chump change.
It's a chunk of change, yeah.
So that was like, a little sour taste in my mouth.
Mm-hmm.
But this, I think, just kind of put the nail in the coffin for a lot of people. It just in the fact that they just, I don't know which one of you said it, but it's how you handle things, and you can't handle it like that, and you're going to lose customers. And they're trying to go public this year with their own stock, and the Wall Street Bets might short that to zero.
I was going to say, just wait till Wall Street Bets gets their mitts on that stuff, gets those diamond hands.
Yeah.
Hey, Daniel, real quick, I think you're kind of like vertical on us. I don't know if there's a way to get you swapped back around to sideways. I'm okay with it, but we have an Australian super fan who's apparently really losing sleep over this right now. He's like, is he sideways? It's like, he might be, Jared, but you know what? As Seth said, you're upside down. So take that. That was hilarious. You're right side up and you just slowly turn back.
Is that good?
That's perfect. That's great.
Okay.
That's
Make that
excellent.
work. Yeah.
Sorry, Australian fans.
There you go, Jared. Are you happy? He apologized.
And he just admitted that he's not even watching the video. He's listening to the audio because he's at work.
Okay.
Typical Australian.
Classic.
So, before I forget, this was the one thing that was burned in my brain that I can't get out. Citadel, again, being Robinhood's biggest customer with their order flow. Guess who bailed out Melvin Capital when they lost all that money from GameStop? Citadel.
What a mystery.
Interesting.
So, not that I'm putting my tinfoil hat on right now, but don't you think Citadel would have an interest in the price of GameStop going down so that Melvin Capital doesn't lose any more money?
Yeah.
I would say that's a very fair Wall Street bet.
Again,
just
problematic shit that happens that, again, because nothing has happened, people are like, it's okay. But now that something has happened, it's like, hey, conflict of interest here.
Yeah, it's a little weird, and I wish Elon asked him about that because he was really grilling him.
Yeah.
Which was good. He was being fair, but he was also asking questions that needed to be asked.
Yeah.
The problem with all this is no one really knows how they came up with the formula to ask Robinhood for $3 billion.
Why that number specifically?
Yeah,
I'm too dumb to even ask that question.
Well, it's not that. It's just why all this. There's so much stuff, and Doug, you said it. Like stocks can sometimes be made out to be mystical and kind of above your head. And I think a lot of this stuff is kind of meant to make us feel like we're not in control.
Oh, very much so.
Even though really we are with the information we have, the access to brokers. I mean, they have you can, as a retail investor, you can get just about everything a hedge fund has access to, just about everything.
Right.
So the playing field's never been more level, but they're still doing things to make it favor their side a little bit more than your side.
It's interesting because I saw some people write that the folks on Wall Street Bets, they said most of the people on that forum, or several of them, had just as much, if not more, information and business savvy than most hedge funds that they've known. Like those folks. And I just, I peruse through it because Reddit is still a mystery to me. I don't really understand how Reddit works. It just seems like something from the early 2000s. When I look at it, I'm like, this makes me feel awful inside. And just hearing everyone call each other artards and stuff, I'm like, what is this? Like, I don't understand what this thing is. Like, they're just I very quickly understood diamond hands. I'm like, there's a whole lingo in here I don't understand. And, but I mean, just watching and reading some of the stuff they were talking about, they're like, this is possibly what could happen, X, Y, and Z. They're like, hey, first of all, I'm not a financial person, so do your own research. But based on what I'm saying, this is what I'd say. If you're really hesitant, here's an option. If you're, wanting to take the YOLO strategy and bet it all on red, here's what you can do. Here's what I'm going to do. But it always ends with do your own research. And I was really impressed at people's ability to find that information, because in the past, and we've talked about this on the podcast before, I love to see traditional sort of structures or industries get disrupted in a way like this, because things just sort of happen because this is the way they've always happened. So I like to see a little bit of ruckus to shake people out of their complacency, to be like, oh no, it doesn't have to be this way. Now, granted, most of the time what happens is people just shift and they readjust, they see the new rules, and they still get to play the way that they want to. But I like to see people who are comfortable get disrupted, because, it's like, well, we've always done it this way. It's like, well, you don't have to. And we also have more information now, so it can be different. And this free market dream that people believe in, it could really happen if they want to let it happen. But they just have to actually go along with that. It means they may take some losses, but if this is truly what you believe in, what you're touting, then you should lean into it.
I think the biggest problem that I think we have is that, to exactly what you said, Daniel, is that the systems have been set up in such a way that everyone thinks that they don't have the information, or that it's some magical, mystical, oh, this is so complex and so many moving parts. And really, if you boil it down, it can be, if you want to dig into the nuts and bolts of it. But if you boil it down to just its top level, here's how it works, it actually is a lot simpler than a lot of people realize. And you can say that for the finance industry, you can say that for politics, you can say that for business, you can say that, the list goes on and on. All of these industries that have had traditionally, as Doug and I was talking about, these gatekeepers, the gatekeepers never want to let anyone see how easy it is to just storm the gate. If everyone thinks that there's this mystical place behind this gate that we're keeping them safe from, they'll stay on this side, And I think that's something that we started to get a glimpse where a lot of people got to see, oh, this is doable. And I think there's no way that this was ever going to, everyone who was saying, we're going to the moon and we're going to get them tendies, there's no way it was ever going to happen. And you could, now that it's thinning out on Wall Street bets, you can start to see all the regular Wall Street bets people going all right, now that all these, fucking knuckle draggers have left, here's why you are all stupid and why you all need to sell now. And they're talking about, there's no way this was ever going to go to the moon. But I think if there's anything that we can pull out of this, or at least hope that comes out of this, is that it's a reevaluation of how this system is set up, and a possible tearing down and restructuring. Probably won't happen, but no, we can hope.
Yeah, they just have it comes down to just the money. They have so much money to back them up. It's just, I don't want to say impossible, but those funds are going to be there no matter if you like it or not. The sad thing is, so there's a thing with shorting. There's a thing called short interest, and whatever percentage that might be, whatever percentages will be the percentage of the shares available that are short. Does that make sense?
Say that one more time.
So if it was 10%,
I thought I had it.
So the short interest, if it was 10%, that means 10% of all the shares out there are shorted.
Okay.
So at one point, GameStop was at 114%.
Right. I did hear about that. So
more shares than were available.
Yes.
Okay.
And these funds were so aggressive with their shorting. If me or you had an account, right, and we made a couple mistakes, we got too proud to cut our losses, we're done. We either add more money to our account or we stop trading.
Right.
These guys, they just don't have to follow basic investing rules of risk management, discipline, and just sticking to your plan. They can just get bailed out. So that's the part that makes me mad, is because like people have to work. People like myself and everyone else who invests has to work hard for that money.
Right.
And we don't want to lose it, so we're going to do everything we can not to. But these guys can just throw around money and get bailed out. It's kind of disgusting.
Like the equivalent of like maxing out your credit card and then still being able to make purchases in your credit card.
Or more importantly, someone pays off your credit card for you and says, "Don't do that again," and then you max it out again because you can't.
Right. Yeah. Daddy and mommy's credit card.
Yeah.
Yeah, because there's no incentive for them to do the right thing, right? Why would you? If you've seen this happen, we saw it in 2008. And, you know, this, it's like whatever, the stuff's been deregulated to hell. Like, people have the opportunity to do that because, I don't know, I would like to think at least their reputation would take a hit, right? Like, that they allowed themselves to be that reckless and overextend themselves.
We've seen in today's America, that's not a thing.
Yeah. Again, it's, I don't know if you guys watched the Big...
Reputation means jack shit.
That's true. Have you guys seen the movie The Big Short?
Yes.
Yep.
Yeah, like the most depressing thing about that movie was the epilogue, where it's like, nothing happened. Like, that was, you know, this horrible thing happened. Yep. People lost homes, you know, financial crisis, and there was no repercussions. Like, they all got bailouts, and it's like, it was really, really, really tough to see all that and be like, God damn it. And it's again, kind of happening again, where it's like, oh, you know, powerful people are telling less powerful people, no, you can't play with us. Sorry about it.
I think that's why everyone got so excited, is because they saw for a moment, a brief moment, they were like, oh, we might be able to take one of these legs out from the fight. Like, we might be able to take someone down. And I think that's what everyone jumped on that hype machine, and they were just like, we can do this. And it's like, no, if you think about it, you really can't.
I want to theory craft with you for a second, Daniel. If RobinHood hadn't restricted any sort of trading and their funds were there, what do you think would have happened? Do you think the purchasing would have continued? Do you think the price would have gone up? What do you think would we still have ended back to the same place where we are now? What do you think would have happened?
Yeah, that's a good question. Because I was actually talking to Seth about this. I would think at some point that these Wall Street bettors would run out of money to spend. Because at what point are you, you know, most people might invest, I don't know, let's just say 5-10% of their income every year, you know, whatever it might be. Where was I going with that?
Running out of money.
Running out of money.
Running out of money. Yeah. So at some point you'd be dipping into money that you really don't want to lose. And I feel like a lot of these people would be like, well, you know, I think this is where it ends. So had they not restricted the trading, I think definitely would have continued for another week, maybe 2 weeks. But at some point, you know, like from my point of view, 20%, 25% on a trade is awesome. Like, I'm happy with that. To see some of these gains where people were getting like 2, 3, sometimes even 1,000% and still holding, it literally made me want to put my head through a wall, because I would do anything for 1,000% return. You know what I mean? Like, well, I mean,
it's like the lottery, right? You hear about the guy that, like, what was it, in 2019, he put his $50,000 in GameStop stock, and then this happened, and he basically became a multi-millionaire over it. Because, I mean, I don't think that's a wise strategy. But like, we're betting it all on GameStop, baby. Like, no, that's not what you want to do. That guy, God bless him, he believed in him, and I think he got lucky. But, you know, to have that, so you hear those stories, I think it's like winning the lottery. Like, oh, well, where's my ticket going to be? And that just sort of like encourages bad betting in that regard. There's some, I'm sure, betting fallacies that go along with that. But I agree with you. Like, if I got in, you know, this hindsight, right? It's like whatever. Because at one point, like, when it was like up there at like 350, I was like, do I get in on this now? I was like, it's kind of like, it seems like it's pretty high. I'd hate to kind of like, you know, but if it goes to 700, I mean, that's still, you know, like, you know, but I just, at that point, RobinHood was already shut down. I was like, I don't really want to go into all this to buy like, what, a share, 2 shares? Like, what am I, you know, like.
Well, I had my finger hovering over on Fidelity, on the Fidelity app. I had my finger hovering over the button, and I was like, you know what? I can't, like, I can't do this because I don't like, and it's not that I knew anything was going to happen one way or the other. It was just one of those things where I'm like, there's no way this happens. I just, the system is so perfectly like set up against us that I'm like, there's no way this keeps going the way it's supposed to go. I was like, there's going to be something. So I was like, I can't bring myself, because I wasn't ready to lose that money. I think that's what it was.
Yeah.
Like there's those people who are like, I know that I'm okay parting with this money. And I'm like, I can't, I'm not ready. So, and that I think you have to, when you get into this, you've got to know that it's like going to a casino. You've got to know that you're okay walking out that much less.
Yeah,
exactly.
And if you don't, great, good for you. But yeah.
I think. Go ahead, Daniel.
Sorry. Yeah. I was just going to say, so at the beginning with the Roaring Kitty analysis, it did start out as like legit, like there could be a short squeeze from $5 to $50, like that's actual like analysis. But at some point, I think the mob mentality kind of took over, where people were just like, they didn't want to miss out, you know. And I think, Justin, you're right. It's like I kind of felt the same way. It's like, this is too good to be true,
right?
Like I've been investing about 4 years, trading for about a year, and doing it full time for about 7 months. But I've never even heard of anything this wild. I never felt, I honestly, I felt a little FOMO, fear of missing out, on this. I can't lie, because I do this for a living and I'm watching this every single day.
Right.
But at the same time, it's just like, okay, I know I'm going to be here. I'm going to survive when these people that are buying at $400 and $450 are holding the bag when the stock's at 40.
Right? Yeah.
So it's like, it can be really tough. And in a way, it is like gambling. You walk into a casino and you see someone win a big stack of money. You're like, that could be me. Right? Why can't it be me?
Yeah. No, you're absolutely right. And I think, Slotty in the chat says, I think the best wisdom on this stuff is if you catch on once everyone is talking about it, it's already way too late. And that's how I felt. Too late. Like I was like, if it was at 40 or 50 and it was just on the rise, totally would have done it. But at this point, I was like 4 days in reading about it, and I was like, I'm already looking at it as like 300. I think at one point I caught it as like 150, and then it was 300, and then it was 400. I was like, yeah, I missed the boat on this one. Like it's, because then you're telling yourself like, but what if it goes higher, man? It's like that horrible thinking of like, I could still get in on it. I was like, don't do it, man. Don't do it.
Well, that's the kind of thinking that sinks you when you're in the casinos, because I've been sitting at a blackjack table before where I've been up and I'm like, well, I mean, I could go up even more. Like I could take this 200 and I could double it to 400. And then you walk out, you're like, well, I had 200, like that's the thing. And that's why people develop gambling. That is that dragon that you're chasing.
Yeah. Because I think, what was it? I was watching Casino recently. The
Great
wonderful, movie. Exactly. Right. And Robert De Niro's character is talking about this whale that came in, took him and his casino for $2 million. He was there for one night, played baccarat, and then got out of town. He's like, but he faked mechanical issues on the plane, so the guy had to come back to his hotel. And when he did, he's like, he just let it go. I gotta keep him out on the floor, and he did. And the guy was betting real small. He's betting like $1,000 here, $1,000. He goes, but although this guy won several hands in a row, he didn't see it as winning like $9,000. He saw it as losing like $10,000 each hand, because that's what he typically bets. And sure enough, he got tired of playing it safe. He started betting big, and before he knew it, everything he won, he had lost, and then he owed the casino $1 million. So like, it's the mentality behind it is, it's not a sexy mentality of, cool, I won, I hit my percentage, now I'm out. If you stay, odds are it's not going to go well. Now, granted, stocks are different than the casino odds in a lot of ways. And I also think with GameStop, there was a lot more. I mean, I don't know, Daniel, I hear the first rule of trading is don't get emotional. I mean, is that true? I mean,
absolutely. If you're not totally clear and you're not able to make a decision, because the thing is, long-term investing, you might be thinking about a position for a couple days, months. You may, okay, if it gets to this price, or maybe I'm going to buy it before Christmas or before, whatever it might be. But like with the way this you had to make decisions in seconds.
Yeah.
And if you made the wrong decision, that could cost you big. But I think the thing that kind of upsets me a little bit, I feel bad, is that the people that had really no idea what they were doing just wanted to get in on it, and then they got burned. Because there is no way in hell. I'm not a financial advisor, so this is not advice. I have to say that there is no way that stock goes back to where it was at $500. There's just no way.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, I think those days are gone.
Yeah, that ship has long since sailed.
And if it does, it's an anomaly, right? Like, it's not something you could plan for. Like, you just, it's.
Well, but you know that all those people on that subreddit are going to be like, "We told you, all you had to do was hold the line."
Yeah, but it's like diamond hands for life. It's like, but everything logically tells you not to do that, which again. That's where the gamble comes in, right? Well, like, that's how you bet. Like, on sports and stuff, you got to bet where the odds are going to be the biggest payout. Like, that's how you got to do it. So would that payout be huge if they hung on to it and it shot to the moon? Absolutely. The odds of that happening are very slim.
Exactly. Yeah. Right. But I think, Doug, when you said that the odds are different when you're playing the stock market than when you're gambling, I think it depends on how you play the stock market.
That's also true.
If you play it like Daniel, absolutely those odds are different. But if you play it like these guys, in the Wall Street bets room that are still posting, diamond hands we're going to hell. It's either to the moon or to hell, and like those guys, the odds are very similar to walking into a casino.
Because again, I think there's like this staunch stubbornness about it, right? Like, we're going to stick it to them. We're going to stick it to. I mean, do they really care about the stock at this point? It's because I typically, when I see stocks and stuff like that happen, it's not necessarily personal. I don't know. I'm not in the world. I look at it as people seeing an opportunity to make gains, right, and mitigate losses. Yeah. So they're trying to play that game. It's not like it could be too, like in some sense, like, I like this stock because I think that in a year's time, this new guy came in, he's going to turn it around. We're going to see some gains. I believe in this company. I think it's going to do it. Other times, people see an opportunity. It's quick in, quick out. They make their buck, they move on, and they just sort of like approach it that way. I think a lot of times with something like this, it seemed like a statement. And that statement was profound for several days, and then they got their legs cut out from under them, and it's like, sorry, this isn't going to keep going at this point in time. Like, you kind of you've lost your footing.
Yeah,
for sure. The whole thing about the odds, everything in I don't like using the word gamble, but in a way, every time you buy a stock, you trade options. It's always a gamble. You just have to know what the odds are, and you have to know. In order for an investment or a trade to make sense, the odds have to be in your favor. It has to work out more times than not, right? So if you're putting yourself in this situation, but I guess before all the restrictions and before all the $3 billion talk, even just thinking, like, could you logically think, like, Justin, that this is gonna happen? Like, I couldn't put myself in that mindset where I'm thinking, okay, I know this company probably isn't the best to be worth this much money. So it's like, why am I putting money into something that I know is just going to get burnt?
Exactly. Because that's the other side of this too, right? That price is not valued at $400. It's not.
Right. So think that you were ever going to get there, you wouldn't. Like, there's no way that was going to hold this.
What's another stock that's at like $400? Like, what's Apple's stock at? Like, they're like 300, 400?
They split. I think it was over 400. Mm-hmm. They're at like $130 or so now, but like Microsoft's at like 250. Microsoft's at 250.
Yeah. Like, I think Tesla's pretty high up there, right? I think isn't Tesla like 800 or something like that?
Yeah, 850-ish.
Yeah. So that gives you an idea of where
this stock called the NASDAQ is at 14,000. That's pretty high.
It's just to kind of give an idea of, like, that's not like all companies are made the same, but those are companies that are considered pretty successful, pretty powerful, and those are their prices. GameStop is not one of those companies. Now, was it undervalued? Sure, because the shorting on it was driving the price down. So absolutely, it should have been higher than what it was, but it's not $400. Like, that was such an inflation.
Argue that $50 seems, and this is based off nothing, but that even seems high to me.
Yeah. I mean, my organization that I work for, I mean, we're trading at like $75, and I'm like, we're pretty successful right now, like right. from what we're doing. Like, yeah, I mean, that makes sense. So I don't look at GameStop in the same way of like, they're doing great in the pandemic. Like, I don't think so. Like,
we're making hay. Yeah.
Yeah. It's like, I don't think that's how it's going. So, I
also feel real bad for the people who got wrapped up in this, because this is another one of those things where it preyed on the people who have an addictive personality. Like, because the people were like, it's the same thing that gambling preys on. It's the people see these Wall Street bets. They're like, they get the FOMO. I don't want to miss out on this. And they get in and it goes up a little bit and they're like, yes. And then they're like, well, I got to hold on to it, or I got to try to, in a different stock. So now I'm going to put everything in AMC because GME had their time. And so now AMC's got to have their time in the sun. And they start to get in this rabbit hole, and they're pissing away anything that they had saved up. And a fool and their money are soon, separated. But at the same time, I still feel bad for them because they got wrapped up in something that, they couldn't get themselves out of, just because of their personality.
Yeah. Do either of you guys use RobinHood or have been on it?
No.
So it's totally different from any other broker. Like with, I use a broker called Tastyworks, which is pretty nuts and bolts, like pretty basic, just black and white, the green and red, obviously for the prices of the stock. But Robinhood, it legitimately looks like a game. Like you log on, there's colors everywhere. When you buy something, there's confetti. When you sell something, there's confetti. They use emojis.
So smart. That's really smart.
I mean, they nailed their demographic. Like they're, aiming it right to young investors and people they want to have on their app. But at the same time, at what point does it become dangerous? Where the dopamine when you sell, when you have a gain, and then you see the confetti, and it's like, oh wow, I got to do that again today. Mm-hmm. Whereas on other brokers, it's just like you buy, orders filled, sell, order filled. That's it, and that's the whole emotionless thing about it. Like you can't have that. Yeah, obviously you want to get pumped up when you make a profit. Obviously, who isn't happy? But at the same time, you don't want to let it go to your head. Just the same way when you take a bad loss, you can't like let yourself get depressed and upset. You have to be very even keeled, I guess.
Didn't Robinhood get some side eye from the SEC for the gamification of their app?
They probably did. I don't know that for sure, but that sounds.
I thought I saw in an article that Seth had sent us that the SEC was like, hey, this is. Basically, you're targeting people. You know who you're targeting, and this isn't right. Basically.
Well, I think there's a psychological studies of that, right? Like I saw years ago them studying like MMO games, like World of Warcraft, like the way that when you leveled up, there was this flash of golden light and this music played and these things showed up on the screen, and it was like a hit of dopamine, like aha, I did something. Like, and they're taking those same things and they've applied that in mobile games for years to keep you going. And part of me goes, that's really smart to do that, to get people on your app to doing that. But the difference is in World of Warcraft, I pay a monthly subscription and I don't lose money when I play. I just lose time. And I lose the love of my daughter. But the point being that like when you're trading, and it's like, it's the same thing like you go to a casino, right? You see all these cool slot machines and all the different things that happen. And it's like, like they try to make it a big deal. But with this, like, I mean, I don't know. Is this any different than what you'd walk into? Again, I hate making the connection to casino because I do think they're separate. They're similar, but
I think it's supposed to be, right? I think that's the point. This is supposed to be, and they were blurring the line.
Yeah. There's definitely a separation, and that's kind of why. Like I mentioned the Tastyworks example, like the broker I use for my day trades. It's bland the way it should be. I don't want lights and things popping and buzzing, and it's like that's just going to, one, be distracting, and two, that's going to put you in that mindset of like of the casino. Because why do they put the machines that always hit right by the door? Because when you walk in, you see a big winner, then you're gonna, oh crap, that's gonna be me next.
Right.
So Robinhood's great for beginner investors and people trying to get their feet wet, because they do have the links to news articles. They make it very user friendly, they definitely probably should back off a little bit of that gamification.
It's so funny because in my line of work, I'm a trainer and instructional designer. Gamification's all we try to do with our learners, right? We want people to feel like as they do this, they're getting rewarded for it. Here's a badge, here's a certification, here's some points you've earned, cash those points in to get something. So typically gamification's a good word. Like I think it's a good thing. But then there's other things where it's like, yeah, with stuff like that, it goes down a more dangerous path. Like at the same time, part of me really respects it, right? Because from a psychological standpoint, they're getting their consumers to use their product, but at what cost is it doing?
Well, at
that?
a cost that Seth just put in the chat here. I forgot. I heard about this on one of the morning shows today.
Oh no!
Where that story, that kid who committed suicide because he thought that he owed Robinhood hundreds of thousands of dollars because his stock tanked, whatever he was in, and it dipped so hard that he said like negative 120 something $1,000, and he left the suicide note saying that basically I don't know how to get out of this, and shouldn't be burdened with yada yada, like saying that he saw no hope to it, and it very much did not owe Robinhood that money, but because of how the app interfaced, so I know the parents are coming at them hard right now.
That sucks because that's someone who doesn't understand that either. Like that's
totally
that's
avoidable.
Because we're talking about the stigma of it, right? Of like stocks and how it's so taboo or not. It's just like it's confusing, and you want people to wade in there to do it, but at the same time, it's like this is also no joke. you know, like
at the same time, I would have fallen prey to the same thing, that I would have assumed that I owed that much money. Like I know so little about how this whole mystical realm works that it's very possible I'd have seen that and I'd have gone, oh boy, I am in deep shit now. Yeah. I feel like there's got to be a better way you've got to have a responsible interface so that if your goal is to get new investors to come in, first time investors, you owe it to them. You have a
moral obligation,
a moral fiduciary obligation.
Yeah.
To hold their hand, to coddle them. You've got to get them, you've got to ease and got to put training wheels on the thing.
I don't know. I'm kind of a little bit on the other side where I'm like, hey man, if you're going to trade stocks, you better come prepared. You know what I mean? Like,
I agree with that. But what I'm saying is if the app is designed to bring first timers in, if they're saying, hey, we're a first time friendly app, come on in, dip your toe in and see how it is. You can't have barracudas in the water.
Yeah, that's true.
You got to make it a kiddie pool.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's dangerous. That even more dangerous, in my opinion, is there's a thing called margin investing where you can essentially get a loan to buy stocks.
Ugh.
And the approval on Robinhood is you swipe up, click a few buttons, answer a few questions, boom, you're approved.
Oh boy.
Is this like Rocket Mortgage from Quicken Loans?
Rocket Mortgage for stocks, except you might as well just take a lighter to your wallet and set it on fire.
Jesus.
I also hate the Rocket Mortgage on Quicken Loans. I'm like, fuck you for doing that. Like, you should. That shouldn't be that easy to do that. Go fuck yourself. Like,
right. But there's the waters can be as shallow or as deep as you want them to be. The problem is you don't know how deep it is until it's sometimes too late.
That's actually a really good way to look at it. I actually saw someone post on Twitter too. I think it was this guy, he was in his 30s or whatever, and he had like his 20-year-old nephew or cousin like sent him a message. He was like, hey, old timer, looks like I'm going to be retiring before you. I just bought 2,000, shares of GNE stock. And the guy goes,
GNE?
He looks up and goes, looks like you just bought into some general nutrition thing. And the kid's like, wait, what? He goes, yeah, that's not GameStop. And he goes, oh shit, can I sell?
Yeah, that's I know.
And then there's those people.
Elon Musk. I know Elon Musk's been a topic tonight a few times, but his tweets. He tweeted, use Signal. The wrong company got pumped on the stock market. the signal he was talking about isn't even a publicly traded company. So some company Signal Advance out of Boston, Massachusetts got pumped from 37 cents to over $6.
Can you imagine them sitting in the just fucking, hey, Davey, get in here. What the fuck's going on with that fucking, we're going nuts on Twitter.
You see our fucking stocks? They're through the fucking roof.
My God, I don't even know what the fuck to do with this.
What do we do with all this fucking money?
Call Tommy. All right, you've got to know what it is, right? No, his dad's like a banker or something, right? I don't know. Do we sell?
What do we do now?
What do we do now? I'm gonna buy a boat, pa. Take it out in the harbor.
Yeah. Oh, that's that's wild. Yeah. And that's also dangerous that can happen.
Yeah.
It's wild. That's so wild.
So if you were to give someone, if you were to say an easy way to get into it, like if someone was interested to get into it, kind of how you got into it, how did you get into trading, and like what non-financial advice, but like what advice could you give people to kind of start wading in, like read these blogs or do this, like where did you get your information? How'd you get started?
Yeah, so I started long-term investing, just buying shares and planning to hold them for a while back in 2017. So back at that point, I was really just reading news articles, watching CNBC, programs like that. It's tough because I don't want to watch like a CNN or a Fox where there's clear bias. It's very important to find unbiased information, which sometimes isn't easy. But I think you have to have a genuine interest, and you have to have a want to learn. Because if it's boring to you, or I guess you have to force yourself to like it, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
It's not one of those things where you can fake. So I was always interested in it. And then I was like, you know what, there's an opportunity here. So you just start liking it more, start getting more involved, just watching the news, reading. And then it was doing that for 3 years. And then COVID hit. And I had been trading options, which is a little separate from shares, but a similar idea of trading the same company. Started trading options. I was like, oh, this is fun. This is kind of cool. I'm learning. I don't really know what the hell I'm doing. But I'm making a little bit of money, making some mistakes, learning from them. And then I got an Instagram ad for this guy, Aristotle. He's not paying me anything to say this. But Aristotle, it's a fellow on Instagram. He runs a group chat, and he also has a course. And I know people get like freaked out, like, oh, everyone has a course nowadays and this. But
this guy's very philosophical in his course. Yeah.
So he had a course and a group chat. So I joined his group chat. I bought his $20 book just to kind of poke around. And I was just expecting like, kind of like how we're just talking, like, I think Apple might be good, or I think Boeing might be good. But the knowledge and education I got from him was just incredible. Like the amount of info. I think his experience, because he was trading for about 4 years, I think experience is a big factor as well.
Okay.
But I think it's important to find someone, and I didn't have this person in my personal life, but it's important to find someone, if you have it in your life, that knows about this, and someone you trust. Because there's a lot of people out there, especially with the internet, they're just trying to scam you, or just trying to get your money to buy their book, to buy their course. But I think I got lucky, and the first guy I found just really hit home with me, and I took his stuff and just kind of ran with it.
That's awesome.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's really awesome. Because Doug, have you ever dipped your toe into the old world of stocks?
I have a 401k, so that's about as far as I've gone in that regard. Like just sort of planning where my contributions go. But that's I have a Roth IRA, I have mutual funds and things like that. So that's about the most I've really done with it. I haven't done much else. So.
Yeah, it remains a mystery to me. It's one of those. Hey, I would love to know more about it, but I just don't feel like I'm smart enough.
Believe me, I'm no genius. I had a 2.8 in college, or 3.0 barely.
Sure.
So I'm not, I'm no rocket scientist. It's just, I guess getting back to the whole you can't fake it. Like, I'm genuinely interested in this stuff.
Yeah.
So it comes easier for me, where it's like basically, markets open 9:30 to 4, but I don't really shut off. From 4 o'clock on, I'm either reading, I'm watching something, looking at charts, but it doesn't feel like it's not taxing, I guess.
Yeah.
It's something I genuinely want to do. So I think that's important.
For you, yeah.
Yeah, I was going to say, like, just reiterate, like, you got to want to do this. Like, this can't be a half-ass sort of situation. I agree that something like this requires a constant, continuous learning mindset and a genuine curiosity. Because otherwise, imagine if you were forced to do this. Imagine your last job, Daniel, and how awful that was. But, like, it was stocks, and you didn't want to do it, but this is what you were forced to do. You'd be miserable. You'd be absolutely miserable. The stress and everything about it would be horrible. Versus like, hey, I'm genuinely interested in this. I want to spend time doing it. It doesn't feel like a job or like work,
Right.
Exactly. Yeah, that's the best way to put it. Because I have friends that aren't investing or trading, for that matter, and I'm not the kind of guy that like would jam something down your throat. But I mean, obviously, I want to help my friends succeed. Actually turned my 2 cousins onto it, who do it part-time. But I still have friends that are just like, you know what? It's just not my thing. I have my 401k at work, and that's better than putting your money in a bag in your closet. So if you have a 401k and you're investing, you're way ahead than a lot of people, but some people just don't, and that's cool. That's not their thing. They don't want to get involved. That's totally cool. Nothing wrong with that at all.
I have a interesting thing that I do with my money. It's akin to betting, but most of my money goes into, I attend this event once a week that it happens in a giant arena, and 2 individuals are put into that arena, and you basically decide who you think is going to come out alive and which one is going to be murdered. And basically the name of the event.
Welcome to the Throwdown.
We're here. We did it. What's the ticker name for the Throwdown? Is it?
Oh, it's a $BLOOD.
Nice.
$blood. I love it. That's
blood.
Awesome.
Yeah. I taste metal. I taste blood. That's the clip we need to pull. Shit. Why is that not on our soundboards?
Oh my God. When was that? That's a deep cut, Justin.
I'll find it.
I taste metal. I taste blood. Wow. So,
yeah.
This week we've got a couple of real fancy people. We've got Elon Musk versus Jeff Bezos. So, these 2 gentlemen show up to an arena because they heard what, Justin? Why did they show up to this arena?
Because they heard that the missing component that both of them need to get to Mars first is in this arena.
Okay, I love it.
And there's only enough for 1 rocket ship.
And let's face it, the first one to Mars has the biggest dick. So that's
true. That's
what's going to happen here. So what are the stats here? Elon seems like a tall guy to me. Maybe I'm wrong. Musk. What do you think?
6'1"?
What is he? He's 6'1"?
6'1".
Yeah, I was like, he seems like that. That's what you're guessing. Okay, how old?
Yeah,
total guess. Bezos is 5'7".
I was gonna say he seems
Elon
small.
Musk is 6'2".
He is 6'2". Nice. So we're right. Yeah. Jeff Bezos 5'7". So Elon's got a height advantage.
Jeff Bezos is a tiny dude. Holy shit.
With all the power. The power.
And that lazy Dr. Evil Eye.
So here's the thing I'll say about Elon Musk. That dude made a flamethrower. All right. So
truth.
This guy wants to drill tunnels under LA to make for like this guy
got the balls to call it the Boring Company.
Yeah. Right. Like this guy has ideas. Like there's entrepreneurs and then there's guys like he's truly, I think, on par with Tesla. Like that, like he he has a whole thing. So I imagine
he's just nuts enough.
He would come to this with some sort of weapon because he always has a weapon on him. Like, whereas Bezos would have his henchmen, but his henchmen wouldn't be allowed to enter the arena. At least that's how I would imagine it.
I'll say this. Elon Musk has an IQ of 155. It's amazing what the internet will tell us.
He also has a lot of kids. Holy shit.
Elon Musk?
He's got was it XAE the second? I don't know what that one is. Nevada, Griffin, Kai, Saxon, Xavier, and Damien.
It's pronounced.
Of course, he has a kid named
Nevada.
Saxon.
Oh my!
He's got Aeon Flux. He's got what called Matrix Musk.
He's had a lot of. Well, I guess. Gosh, yeah, he's had a lot of different wives too. I guess 3.
I'm just gonna throw this out there. Has anyone heard Jeff Bezos laugh?
No. Should that be in our soundboard?
Yes. That's the perfect one. Because it makes you think of he's just some evil villain.
Wait, I think we do have one. I think we do have it.
Wait, so there's a...
That's Elon. I mean, that's Jeff Bezos.
If you just type in Jeff Bezos laugh, the first thing that comes up is Jeff Bezos best laugh compilation. And I'm going to click on this. I don't know what we're getting into, gentlemen.
You want to be a chef. Maybe you want to be a dancer. I don't know what you want to do.
I'm not sure my boss is going to like
that. You are not kidding.
But you do need to follow your passion.
Right.
I would love for it to be after I'm dead.
40 minutes with you. It's already clicking down. We're going to use every one. So no droning on.
One more.
Okay?
I see what you did.
No, that's coming up too, but that was actually not supposed to be a bad pun. And then disclosure, you are an investor.
I also don't like how he does full body. Like he rolls with his laugh. I don't like that. Man, Elon Musk is looking more and more like he's going to win this one to me.
I love it. Disconnected says Elon Musk, modern day Tesla dude, probably has a time machine.
That's valid.
Seriously, that laugh is that. I know that laugh because I used to do that for 6 years as I worked at a hotel, and I did a lot of fake laughs. And that sounds like a really hearty fake laugh. But behind him, he's like thinking of the ways in which he's going to drain your blood and won't get caught.
Take his eye out. Pop out some sort of laser beam.
Pop. Like, oh my God. Reduce him to ash.
I gotta say that the fact that like Musk is like, just for fun, he's like, I'm gonna make a flamethrower, a portable, like just not one that you need a giant gas tank, like it's just a portable one, handheld. He is top to bottom, T to B, loaded with weapons.
He's also like a very watered down version of Rick Sanchez from Rick and Morty. Like, as far as I see him, like very smart, kind of diabolical, has like something for every situation. Like I don't see him like Bezos seems like a guy who's pretty fit for how old he is, like a guy who's like, I'm on a juicing diet, or whatever he's going to be doing. But at the same time, he seems like he also would be very frail in whatever Elon would throw at him, because you can be healthy, but I mean, are you really going to, be able to, your body can be able to handle the shrapnel from a matter grenade that gets thrown at you? I mean, I don't know.
That's true. I just meant 6'2" and 5'7". That is like, that's a discrepancy.
Yeah. You don't seem to have a problem with that with Muggsy Bogues whenever we bring up the sport debate.
Let me tell you something about Muggsy. Okay.
Go on.
Man is a legend.
True. These are facts.
I think there was 13 hours ago, The Verge just reported too that Jeff Bezos is now worth $193 billion. So I think he does surpass Elon, if that makes any difference. Spoiler alert, it doesn't.
It's funny because as each stock price fluctuates, they kind of flip-flop between 1 and 2.
At this point,
much money.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah,
It's an egregious amount of money.
Anyway,
I think with Bezos's AWS and all that automated stuff, he'd come out with something like a third arm out of his back, and
Oh, that's right.
There'll be some
Because
sort of automation.
Because Elon is against AI. He's against he's so I think you're right. I think really what it is people joke that Mark Zuckerberg is part robot, but I think really what it is Bezos is like the T1000 to Mark Zuckerberg's T800. Like he's just like he's like you know, as he like his arm turns into a blade and he just shoves it through someone's throat.
Exactly, man.
Could Bezos send his drones? Bezos is made up of drones. That's what he is. He just kind of goes. It's like 10 drones come out.
His clothes just fold and drones come out of them. Yeah. So are we saying then that because he's made of tiny machines that he's going to take down Musk? Or does Musk have something up his sleeve? I
think Musk has a weapon, some sort of thing that, like, whatever. Again, he's like a Rick Sanchez. Whatever you throw at him, he's got something. You know.
He calls on those Jewish space lasers that Marjorie Taylor Greene was all going on about, right?
Yeah.
He's the one that put him up there in the first place.
He then basically just like puts on his shades and taps them, and then like a satellite comes down in Hulkbuster armor, and he just like gets in it, and then just goes smash.
Yeah. I feel like we're dancing around who the winner is here. I feel like it's got to be
Elon Musk.
It's Elon Musk. It's Elon Musk for the win. Yeah.
So what happens is Elon, you know, he calls down like everything from the satellite, and you hear like all the you know, just, and then it lands and then that's it. Bezos is gone. It's a very anime moment.
And then Bezos goes, "It's been a good life, and now it's time to hang it up."
As Elon sort of stares at the smoldering ruins, he just sort of begins down on one knee, and he just sort of looks and quietly says,
I love you.
And
out of respect.
And as Bezos, has the death rattle and lets out his last breath, his body voids his bowels. And that's all there was of Jeff Bezos.
And that's how you end a throwdown. That's a proud moment right there. That was a good one.
Anything to add, Daniel?
No, I was just going to say from a logical standpoint, Bezos just stepped down as CEO, so he's probably weak. He's a weakened version of himself.
He's having confidence issues.
Yeah, exactly. He's rusting because he's a drain.
I like that.
That's amazing. Daniel, this was such a great conversation. Your insight was phenomenal. It was great picking your brain and just sort of talking about this stuff. So thank you for taking the time to hang out with us.
Yeah, it was fun to be here. Thanks for inviting me on.
Of course. So this is the part of the show where we like to open up the floor to you. If there's anything you'd recommend, like if there's a show, if there's a book, if there's music, if you want to want people to follow you on social media or whatever, the floor is yours. Whatever you'd like, sir.
So I do like the show Vikings. I just picked that up. And
there you go.
God, that is fantastic.
Nice.
But no, I don't have anyone necessarily. Just Aristotle. If on Instagram, Aristotle Investments. He's a really good dude. Taught me a lot. And my two cousins, they're in the entertainment business. They're the Nelson Boys on Instagram.
Okay.
So Aristotle Investments and the Nelson Boys. Go check those guys out.
Awesome. Just out of curiosity, what do the Nelson Boys do? What kind of entertainment?
They do skits. They make music. All kinds of stuff. They're funny guys. Those are the two guys I actually trade with in the morning.
Oh,
so.
Nice.
Nice.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's a family affair.
Someone goes, dude, Vikings is great. So,
dude, I'm only on. I halfway through season 5, so I'm almost done.
Wow, nice. I've heard good. Yeah. That show looks cool. I like Vikings in general. I think they're a fun time period to take a look at. So
awesome.
Well done, Justin. What do you got?
Well, I watched Birds of Prey.
Okay.
On HBO Max. I kind of recommend it. I thought it was. Here's the thing. It was very entertaining, and I enjoyed it. I feel like I want to discuss it, either off mic or on a future podcast, because I feel like I just need help wrapping my head around a few things. All in all, I would say it was a good movie. Check that out. And then also, if you guys could go to Tui State's website and click on the blogs section. We've been cranking out, with the help of Slotty, some real good blogs. So check those out. Give them a read. You may find one that's relevant to you. You may not. It just meant a lot to us. Doug, what do you got?
I don't have a whole lot. Nothing relevant. I saw a tweet the other day that said when you turn 35, you either are really into World War II movies or you get a smoker. And I'm kind of both of those. And adding on to that, I'm a big fan of like the Jack Ryan movies with like Harrison Ford. So like Patriot Games, Clear and Present Danger, Hunt for Red October with the Alec Baldwin one. Big fan of those movies, and I feel like a real dad whenever I watch those. I'm like, I'm like, yes. For some reason,
you get it now, right?
I've always loved those movies. I loved Harrison Ford in those roles. They were just very enjoyable. So like, I find them and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm gonna watch Patriot Games. Sean Bean, yeah, let's get this on. He dies, surprising. And then it's just I don't know, they're good movies. They're really good. So check out any of these early '90s Harrison Ford films. They're pretty cool. So check that out. Also, don't forget to check out Mind Gap Podcast and all our social medias at Mind Gap Podcast. Don't forget to check out our YouTube channel. Like and subscribe there. We have full episodes that launch there as well as highlights from our streams. And also, don't forget to follow us on our Twitch at twitch.tv/MindGapPodcast. Come hang out with us when we record our episodes live and when we do our video game streams Saturday nights, 8 p.m. Get ready for this KFC dating simulator that's coming on Saturday night. I don't know. Maybe I'll put on just a blazer and no shirt, and we'll just let I'll turn the lights to red, and we'll get into this.
Candle.
We'll light a candle, and we'll just get into this dating simulator. You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Justin also gets sexy on the internet as well.
That's true. You can follow my sexcapades on Instagram and Twitter at Justin_Michael, spelled Mikel. It's the fun way of spelling it. And while you're in the online realm, check us out on Spotify, on Apple Podcast, on Google Podcast, on Stitcher, on Podbean, and all the other places where you can consume your podcasts. Share us around, like, subscribe, rate, review. The big one is sharing. Just copy the link, send it out to your social network, and let people know you think they should check us out. That goes such a long way for us. And then 2east8th.com/mindgap, and then just keep an eye on all of 2east8th's stuff, including that blog page. And that's about it.
Nice. Once again, Daniel, thank you for taking the time to hang out with us. We appreciate you.
Yeah,
wait,
absolutely.
Doug, sorry. Would you say that you're getting them tendies on Saturday?
I'd say I'm probably going to get those tendies on Saturday.
Yeah.
You're going to the moon on Saturday?
Wait, what?
Are you going to the moon on Saturday?
Always going to the moon on Saturday. Always. I'm going to get them tendies. It's going to be great with my
Sorry, Doug.
diamond hands. I thought you had a soundbite to play or something. I was like, what are we doing? Yeah, there we go.
God damn it!
All right.
Tom Cruise.
Daniel, thanks so much for being here.
Absolutely. Thanks, Doug, Justin. It's a pleasure. Thanks, guys. Fun talking to you.
Actually, Justin, thank you.
Douglas, thank you.
Twitch, thank you.
And listeners, thank you so much.
And you all have and thanks you to Seth. And
thank you, Seth.
Have a dandy fucking week.
Mind Gap Podcast.